I see a red light. I'm going to go over here and press another red light. Welcome to Sharkcast Pod with a bit of fins up as well. This is all spur of the moment stuff because we're so happy about being the kings of the South. Two grades today, NRL, NRLW. My name is Sam Shinazi. That is Josh Bowling. That is Dan Nichols. We're going to talk about the Sharkies for a little bit. And if you want to join in on the fun, you can in comments. You can probably jump on at some point and have a chat if we can work out how to do that stuff too. But anyway, Sharks win NRLW 38 points to 10 in the main event of the evening as far as I'm concerned. Dan Nichols, as far as you're concerned. NRLW main event, 5-0. Here we go, baby. Finals bound. But seeing as he's the youngest, Josh, tell us your thoughts on what happened today in the NRL.
Mate, bloody ecstatic. Super impressive performance again. Looked a lot more structured today with the halfback out there with Tricky. Had to fight for it. The Dragons came to play in that first 20 minutes. They front-loaded a lot of that energy, but I thought once we got over the top of them with a lot of penalties and a sin bin included, just way too good for the Dragons over 80 minutes.
Dan?
Put them in their place, mate. They were talking all week, and rightly so. Went in good form, and I'm going to have to rub it in because I got a lot of messages to read out later, that's for sure. Look, I thought it was a workmanlike effort until they fell apart. And then just Cronulla took them apart up the middle. It was wonderful to see. During the week, we said we had a huge advantage in the centres. And I think the fact that our centres were arguably two of the best 3 or 4 players on the field says it all. Huge golf. That's where we won it. And it was glorious to see.
So I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, and I say that every time that I say it. But I did have information today, and I cannot say where it came from, and it may come out, that our star centre, Jesse Ramian, wasn't feeling too well in recent 24-hour time, but they gave him till game time, and he came out and no one knew because he played unbelievable. So full credit to him, full credit to the team. I thought it was another really well-coached game by Fitzy. It seems like when the chips are down against Fitzy, he really gets it right. I know there's open for debate about how he goes when everything's running smoothly, but when the chips are down against this bloke, he just says, we're going to do it. And I don't think any of us saw a 28-point victory coming.
No, I was actually, I said this to a couple of mates earlier in the week. This was the game I've been most nervous about all year. And I don't know if that was due to the stakes that were on the line or if it was the Dragons and how they'd been performing. Those worries subsided as the longer the game went on. I thought Fitz did say in the presser that Jesse was touch and go and he was sick. So you're not breaking any rules there, Sam.
Excellent.
You wouldn't have known it. He was absolutely terrific. I know he still had a couple of, the little Jesse moments that he has and got sin bin, but I thought besides that, he was spectacular. And his center partner of Hero is just going step by step. He's improving his game every week. Forward pass or not, that's another try assist for the great man and another great try and got it over his
What do you mean forward pass or not? It was.
Just to take with or without it, I thought he was excellent.
Sorry.
Yeah.
He was.
He probably should have. You're right.
This first comment is for Dan to participate in.
Wasn't that just brilliant? As soon as it happened, I was like, I'm going to screen grab the hell out of that.
I went to do it for you, and I was like, oh, he's already doing it. So
bless you, sir. I got about 7 people tag me, so thank each and every one of you for your moment. It's funny you mentioned Ramian wasn't well because when I saw Vayela wasn't named for Newtown and made the cut, I was like, oh, is Iro not right? Thinking maybe we get a Vayela debut, but obviously the Ramian that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that his time will come. I know that your Fins Up partner's huge on Christopher, and a bunch of us are too. So it's good to see him get closer and closer to an NRL debut. But I love these games where none of our players play remotely bad. Like for me, if I was to pin one thing, I could go, oh, Hiroti missed tackle for that try. Oh, well, he hasn't played first grade for 2 years. Did his job otherwise. I love these games. I personally, I'm sure you guys can, I'm sure our listeners can, I can't find much to be critical of with these guys. The forwards went nuts. Toby Rudolph, Oregon Kafusi, my man, my new friend. He's unbelievable form. I think he wants to stick around. I think he wants to sign a new deal. And I just thought 1 to 17, they all did a job. I thought even Hamlin Welly returning from injury over the past few weeks, there were glimpses. There were glimpses of what he can do. I know we're not there yet, and we'll talk about selections coming up because someone's going to be on the chopping board because we've got a couple of really important guys coming back. But we are jumping around a little bit. Josh, who stood out for you? Actually, I'm going to ask you this question, both of you. Why did Blake Brayley and Britton Nickera stand out for both of you?
It's the running game for Blake. I feel like it gets him going. I think it gets him engaged in the game. There was a few times there where they were trying to get at him, and they obviously tried to get him defensively, as most teams do. But he was whacking blokes and he was chirping, and I feel like when he's engaged and when he's bringing forwards on, it just takes his game to another level. When he doesn't do that, it's when he kind of sits back and he gets bogged down and just pass and tackle. But when he gets those guys over the ad line, it changes the whole dynamic of the team.
So how, Dan, are we going to get this guy to be like this when Hines is back and when the spine is how it should be? How are we going to get him to keep going?
I reckon just keep those Jaden Beryl posters up in the dressing room. It's no coincidence that since Beryl came into the side, our boy's been, and I say our boy, I never thought I'd say those words, has been excellent. He's just been running the ball. He's been making good decisions, and his service has never been a problem. But it seems the last 6 weeks he's just gone, I'm going to be the probably second quickest service because I think Harry Grant is undoubtedly the best. But his ball last week to Atkinson was literal perfection. Like if that ball, he has to bring it down or he has to juggle or put it in front, it was perfect.
The one from the break, is that what you're talking about?
No, last week to Atkinson. Like it couldn't have given him more time. It was the perfect ball. And we saw that today, all day.
What about when he made the break from the turnover, which I think was right before the Hiroti try, and he's running his little legs, and he's on the fly, and he throws it to, I think, Stone Street, and Vossi almost
on
has
the fly.
a conniption because it's such a great pass. It's like, Andrew,
he was looking somebody take this off me, and Stone Street's like, I got it. It was just brilliant. And that particular play was perfection. They just drew and passed all the way. Ramin did his in and out and put Hiroti in over untouched. If you want to show a training run in an NRL game, that play from start to finish, perfection.
So Danny,
we've got a Stan question.
Yes.
A couple of questions coming through on Instagram.
Let's go.
I'm going to skip one just because this is relative to what we're saying. From Jimmy Smalls is asked, has Brayley been told that he is running the team?
Well, I mean, I don't know that, but it looked like it today. He looked unstoppable. And I think he's been in great form for most of the year, but this was, if it's not career best, it's close to it. So maybe he needs to be told that. Maybe whatever they're doing, they got to keep doing it with him because he just has a bit of a fire in the belly, which we sometimes don't get from him. Danny, as we can see on the screen, so don't forget Raymond. You might have missed the start of the broadcast, but we did wrap him, and we will keep wrapping him. What else you got there, Joshy?
I've got one from Lucas Germano is saying, is Iro and Stone Street a better partnership than Iro Mulatalo?
I don't know if we can let Dan answer this for fear of being taken off air. Look, the thing about Stone Street and Mulatalo for me, and we'll go to you, Dan, obviously. I'm just mucking around. I think even though... So Stone Street ran for 100 metres today. So really great effort. I think that the difference between the two is the running meters from the back. And they're just built differently, right? So Stone Street's quicker, but Ronnie's, for want of a better word, stronger. That's the only real difference I'm seeing at the moment, aside from, 100 games experience or whatever. I think it's too early to go with that question. Dan, why do you think that it is a better combo? Because I know you do.
Well, it's look, Ronaldo's come straight back in the side, so is Katoa. Let's not beat around the bush. Long term, though, you can't convince me that left edge isn't the left edge for the next 10 years. I'd be moving Ronaldo to the right and saying, oh, you and Jesse had a thing a while back. Get that going again. I agree. He does make more meters coming out of his own end. They tend to kick to Stone Street because he's rookie and he's more susceptible under the ball, which means he doesn't get that second or third hit up because he's playing the ball. Ronaldo tends to get it second or third in. Plus, Ronaldo's handling the last couple of weeks has been awful. I know he's been injured. So last week I don't think he should have played, and he played exceptionally well considering. In terms of this year, no, Stone Street will go back to New South Wales Cup and he'll win a title with the Mighty Jets. But going forward, there's no better edge except maybe Penatani and Staples when they're fully firing than those two. And you saw Iro and they've had it all through Newtown. They've just got a partnership together. Stone Street doesn't rush in, and if he does, he and Iro are fast enough to go turn and go. Last week we saw Talakai get burnt 3 or 4 times, and Ronaldo couldn't go. They just don't have the pace of these two young kids. So in terms of upside, that 10 years, mark it down. They'll play for Australia on the wing. Quote me.
Well, this gentleman or person on the screen also agrees with you. Josh, what are your thoughts on it? What are your thoughts on the subject?
It's very interesting because defensively, I think Iro and Stone Street are a better combination. I think they've obviously got some sort of intuition or, just a unspoken bond between them defensively. I think in attack, it's a much of a muchness, but you get the speed, like we said. We get the speed with Stone Street. You probably get the experience, the muscle, more of the flair and the special plays from Ronaldo. He'll come up with something out of nowhere, like take a bomb on the run and flick past it, or he'll put a kick back on the inside, which Stone Street has shown he can do. But I think Ronnie has that more consistently in him at the moment. As everyone would know, I was a little skeptical on Iro and Stone Street coming in. I have to, they've made me eat my words, and Dan would be the first to let me know, and rightly so. I doubted them, and I admit that, but I can only go off what I see. I mean, Iro's been first class for probably 2 or 3 months now, and Stone Street has barely put a foot wrong. And if he's a backup for us, if anything goes wrong in the finals, to have Sam come in, he's got a couple of games under his belt now. You'd trust him to score a couple of tries in a finals game.
Yeah, I think this year's been amazing for guys coming in. You will get your choice, Dan. I think that with Atkinson, Stone Street, these rookies coming in, when we need them, like what happens if we need them in week 2 of the finals? They're ready to go. So it's a good point, Josh. Go ahead, Dan.
Like, just touch on that quickly. That's where I had a problem last year with not playing Euro before the finals. We had to keep going back to Harodi, so he's got that right. Just while we got Gaz and yourself, Shinaz, I just want to know, is there something in Sam's contract that says if he scores 2 tries, he gets paid an extra $100,000, but not 3? Because 2 weeks in a row now, he's had a hat trick absolutely handed to him by Euro and dropped the ball with the line wide open. So I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but
I'm glad you're not. It's probably coming, the hat trick. I mean, huge game coming up against the Warriors. What this all means, of course, and we haven't even touched on it, is we're sitting ahead of the 3-peat, almost 4-peat Panthers right now, and we didn't see that one coming, really. It's up to us to keep winning. We can finish as high as 2nd, probably more likely 3rd or 4th, but at the moment, we can actually be in the box seat to finish 3rd, have a final against, you would think, the Roosters in Sydney. It depends what you want, where you want to go, who you want to play. I've had this debate with lots of different people, and we'll get to that, tonight and over the next few episodes, but absolutely killing it. Steven says, loving the style we're playing, especially in attack. Excited to have Nico back. So do you think his presence will hinder everyone else's current game? It's a great question. It's kind of the elephant in the room, but I'm going to give Nico a lot more credit than that. I'm not saying Steven isn't, but I think Nico can slot back into the way we're playing. I think he has to. I think he doesn't have a choice. He's our number one guy, but I think that he's smart enough to know this is the way to go. He's there every training session. He's on the field. He's helping out with coaching. He's back to training now, thankfully. Might play against the Warriors. I'd say a shoe-in for the Manly game. Do you guys have an opinion on this very important question from Stephen?
I do. Whether it's controversial or not, I don't know. I think it's got to be Trindle and Hines. I think the break, as much as we didn't want this to happen, I think it's probably the best thing that could have happened for Nico in hindsight, getting time away.
Answer the question.
Do I think that his presence will hinder the current game? No, I don't. I think you've got a guy that comes in that oozes class, is on his day a top 5 player in the NRL. He plays and he comes in and he slots back in. I think you see him sitting in the coach's box every week now. He's watching the game. He's watching how the boys are playing. I think if anything, he knows he doesn't have to come in and be a superstar and set up 4 tries and kick every kick, and he's got everyone there that's going to be backing him up. And I think he has to realize that he can't do everything, but his class and presence is going to scare other teams. Imagine a fresh Nico coming in for getting a game under his belt and coming to a week 1 finals game. No bumps and bruises. The origin stuff's gone now. That's out of his mind. It's a scary proposition, and I think he could come in and he could be the difference between a grand final appearance or a prelim appearance at worst.
So, Dan, who are going to be your halves at this point in time? Who do you think it's going to be? And could you answer Stephen's second part of the question, please?
Hines 6, Trindle 7. I think this question has come that we've simplified our game because you can't just throw it to Nico and hope anymore. I think it's the best thing that could have happened to us. I said he should have taken a 2-week break when round the bye after Origin. When he missed the game in Brisbane, you're like, oh, that sucks, but maybe you should take another one and get your head right. And you got $1 million halfback who's winning Daily M. You're not leaving him out. Terry made a good point we recorded earlier. Imagine if, say, Dane Laurie's going to play 5'8" for the Panthers this week because that Brad Schneider's not much chop. He and Luai lead them to 2 straight wins. You think they're leaving Nathan Cleary out when he comes back just because the other 2 are playing well? You play your superstar. Look, it's going to change because Nico can do things that no one else in the competition can do, let alone these 2. You've got to keep Trindle in the 7. It's his team now. Nico Hines chiming in when he sees something instead of trying to do everything, as Josh said, is downright scary because you're not just going, geez, it's getting close. Nico, it's your ball. No, it's like, oi, there's an overlap. Nico has got the best ball. I love when he said he might come back against Manly because he's torn him up twice over there. And that ball he just puts over and the right winger or whoever he throws it to just floats in untouched. No one else can do that in the competition.
So is Atkinson in your 17, Dan, at this point moving forward once Hines is ready or once everyone's ready?
No. Super. He doesn't deserve to be dropped, but no, you can't not play the 4 forwards off the bench. It's just working too well.
Interesting. Okay. So our friend Joe says, do we think Nico's back this week or would you give him a run against the Eagles? Does it depend on what we need? Are you guys playing him when he's fit? What's your opinion? I really don't know what to do because I think that he's had so many injuries this year that I want to just wrap him up in cotton wool and then release him when he's ready, but that's not fair to him or even to the team because you need your combinations, etc., etc. What would you do, Josh Bolling?
If he's fit to play the Warriors, if they give him the go-ahead, he plays. And I'd say he maybe even plays Manly as well. I think he plays both games. I think Trindle has to play at least 1 game with him. Their combination needs a bit of work. So the as many minutes as you can pump into them, the better. I think you probably try and carry Atkinson in both games. And if it's going really well or if it's going really badly, you pull either Tricky or Hines off and just get him in there to keep his minutes going. But yeah, I think if he's fit, he's got to play. He's missed maybe 8 weeks now. He needs the fitness. I mean, finals are going to be brutal. It's going to be either Panthers, Storm, or the Roosters. A lot's going to be thrown at him. So he needs the miles in his legs and in his shoulders.
Can we go back to talking about Britton Nickera? Because A, I love him, and B, that was a ridiculous game from him today. I think he was almost better than Brayley, and Brayley was unbelievable. I love the brutality of his game. There's not much of him. Like, he's not the biggest forward you've ever seen, but he doesn't take a backward step. And I thought his attitude, especially in the opening 10 minutes with hit-ups, like he and Wilton ran for like 120 metres each. And we don't really see that from them, especially together. And Teague was great too. But Britton Nickera, man, if he keeps that form up in the finals, he's almost X-Factor-like.
Yeah, well, it's funny. So we did have a couple of messages coming through on Instagram. One was about Brit from Benjamin. So I'll quickly just read it out and we can continue. Brits runs today every third or fourth set. When Blake engaged the single marker because our forwards push were rolling, will be Nico pushing up 3 to 4 times a set. Front foot Nico is hard to hold out. So I guess that coincides with Nico and Nikora combination. With Nikora, though, today, man possessed. Never seen him run. I don't think I've ever seen him run harder, but more consistently over. Like, he was like a bullet coming out of a gun. He was so fast, electric, breaking tackles, offloading, broke the line multiple times, scored a great try. They didn't get it. It looks like there was a shepherd or something because it was too easy. Like, they didn't want a piece of him.
Yeah. Like, what about you?
Nicholas special, mate. He's got something that other players don't have. No, I wouldn't say Wade Graham-esque because there's no one like Wade Graham, but he goes right, and he can either run or pass, and not a lot of second rowers have that skill. They're one or the other. And I mean, he took David Fafita apart, and that's the hardest battle in the competition. And he got kick out earlier in the year, so he's won a couple of the big battles. Today, I thought he was magnificent, and I actually thought the best moment came from a mistake. When we had him down the right and that ball, he put Ramin under a bit too much pressure and knocked the ball on. He was so filthy with himself. Whereas in years gone by, you see that, who cares, we'll get him next time. He's so locked in, and he knows that right edge spot for the Kiwis is his, and they're getting ready for something special. So I think he just keeps getting better and better. I said last year he was our second best forward behind Jack Williams. This year, maybe he's number one. Oh, and just going back to what you said about carrying Atkinson, why do we need it when we got Cam McInnes? He's undefeated at halfback, boys.
I'm going to be very sad if and when your namesake is left out of the team. I love everything about him, but the number one thing I love about him is his calmness. I feel like in a finals game, if you need to throw him out there because everyone's just freaking out, he's going to get you home. I know that's a big reason to carry someone on the bench and someone else miss out, but that's how I feel.
Fair enough.
You're entitled to that, Sam. And I tend to agree.
But you're wrong.
No, I tend to agree.
Ghastly says, what do we do with Will? I'm not sure about him, to be honest. Is Atkel fullback? I mean, I'll just start off with the Will stuff. I know he had a bad defensive issue today for the second Dragons try, I think it was. I know our Wi-Fi's a bit weak. No one freak out. We'll hang on. But I don't have any real issue with Will Kennedy. I thought the try he scored in the second half turned the game around. Dan, you're maybe going to disagree on this one, I reckon. What are your thoughts on where Will's at?
So high on Kennedy. I love his under the high ball. I reckon he's the best fullback in under the high ball. When he drops it, you're like, what the hey? Whereas every time Sloan drops it, you're like, yeah, duh. But defensively, he didn't put his body on the line. He got beaten by a player of nowhere near his ilk today. Unforgivable as far as I'm concerned. The skill errors, they happen. Lack of effort, unforgivable. Look, I'm a huge K Dykes fan. The bloke just can't stay fit. But if Dykes is fit, he's our fullback. That was what I was saying. Liam Eison's coming through. He's an absolute gun. He's just too young. I don't think you lose. Look, Kennedy, up and down. You ask me every week, and I'm going to change my opinion. I think he's our best. This year, it can't be touched. I know a lot of people are pushing the Nico to fullback to come back, and Atkinson can go there as well. You can't play Atkinson at fullback. He just hasn't had enough reps there. There's no chance.
I don't think you can play Nico there either.
I agree, 100%. That you go to the groups, everyone's saying that needs to happen. I feel safer with Kennedy there. Rest of the year, and if Dykes can stay fit, we have the chat in 12 months' time.
Josh, where are you with Will after the game today?
Yeah, I'm similar with I'm up and down. I do generally love Will, and I think what he provides to the team is more good than bad. The defensive stuff, I think across the board, you'd find a lot of NRL fans wouldn't be too happy with how their fullbacks defend most of the time when it's one-on-one. Besides maybe your Dylan Edwards and your Teddies, a lot of guys do get run through or run around, and it happens. I mean, realistically, once they get through the line, you don't typically think that they're going to shut it down anyway. He should have stopped it today. That was one of the Fainai brothers. He should have stopped it. But the safety under the high ball, the effort, the fitness, and what he can, like the special moments he gives you, he doesn't give you them all the time, but when he does, they're spectacular. And again, like you said, Sam, he changed the game with that catch and try. I don't think we have anyone else in the team that can do that sort of thing, or at least they could play fullback. I think Atkinson would have to do it. I think for me, mid game, or if Will goes down in the finals, you couldn't change any. You couldn't go really any other way. So I don't see a better solution at the moment anyway. But I'm still pretty happy with him.
Like when that happened, when he let in that try, I thought that the commentary on Fox were going on about how no one was helping him out to support him, which is a great point. But the fact is, as the three of us know, he should have stopped that try, made the tackle. And when he does that from time to time, I kind of get a bad feeling because I love the guy so much. And I love him in our team. And then I sort of doubt myself and go, oh, is this good enough or not? And that moment is not good enough. But I think overall this year, the improvement in his defense is enough for me to go, well, let's learn from that. Let's give him another chance to not do that in the future. Let's see what he does next week. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm a very loyal guy when it comes to some of these players because I think they do so much more. And if that's his one weakness, I can kind of live with it. But
I agree.
He should have stopped that, no doubt. Our friend Gary Dover said, watch the warm-ups, any training session. Nico has his mark all over it, needs to be there. His presence will lift everyone. And that's a very good point, Gary, who's our eye on the ground. He was out at the ground today with all the Sharks media crew, having a great day.
Brilliant photographer, by the way.
He's a brilliant photographer, isn't he? When you talk to Gary about photography, he's like, oh, I don't know, I hit the button and something. It's like there's got to be more to it than that.
It's not really great art. Anderson, though. I just want my one complaint, Gary.
Okay, well, we'll see what we can do about that. Nathan says a try save. Oh, let's talk about this. We haven't mentioned this. The Nicaragua try saver at the end. That's exactly where he is, Nathan. Thank you for bringing that up. 3 minutes to go. The bomb goes up. He's the only one there really to get rid of it. Nothing would have happened if they would have scored. We would have gone, oh, well. But he was there. It was brilliant. And who knows what the for and against will mean for us. He might have that 4 to 6 points.
Could be the difference.
That might have saved us. Here's one for Dan. Things getting personal on Sharkcast Pod from Stephen. Well, you know what? Terry sent out a tweet before, and if I didn't retweet it, I should have. And it was about how good Blake was, and I was going to respond. I didn't want to get into an online thing because I don't like the online stuff. But we got space for Terry on Blake Island, so you can pass that on. We got space for him.
We've all got the players that we look at closer than everyone else. Every time Euro does something good, I remind you. Every time he does something bad, I get 5 tags. It's just what it is. It's the same with Brayley. Someone said to him, and we talked about this in the car on the way home, they go, well, what would you do if Brayley won like a Clive Churchill? And Terry's like, oh, no. So we win a premiership? Because, you don't So no one wishes bad. But, yeah, no, watch Rugby League Outlaws tomorrow. He's super positive on Brayley. And without blowing it, he gave Brayley his 3 points today. I gave Nicker my 3. But if you were to say it was Brayley, no argument. I wouldn't say he's on the island yet because we got to see it in a big game, which I don't think we've felt yet. And, look, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Nicho Hynes wanted the ball with a 6-on-3, and he passed to Connor Tracy in the final last year. He's got to overcome that moment to get on the island.
That was almost a year ago, so.
Yeah, but did we make the next round of the finals?
No, but there are other things that happened in that game.
Yeah, but a 6-on-3 and $1 million halfback's like, Look, he's got to do a moment to bounce that. So if he does in the finals, then yeah, we're both on Blake Island happily.
And the only thing I'd say to that, Dan, in all seriousness, is I think in some big games this year, and I know big games is end of year, I get that, but it's against some big opponents, the Melbourne game, for example, I think he's really stood up. So let's see what happens when we get there, and we are going to get there. It's pretty exciting. Like, we're top 4 bound. I don't want to jinx things, but we're top 4 bound, and who knows where we'll end up. I mean, Josh can tell you about an interesting text conversation a bunch of us had over the past 24 hours. And one of our colleagues, who shall remain nameless, was convinced they wanted us to finish 5th, because at least in 5th we had a chance to... But wait, hang on, Dan, before you blow up. The same colleague changed their mind today. I think it was in pre-game. And so they're pretty happy to... Because we were like, what are you talking about? We gave them all the reasons. Point is, I'm getting pretty excited. I think that the only way is up. I think there's a lot of potential. They just got to do it on the day. And today's performance was awesome. We're missing Hines. We're missing Talakai. We're missing both of our starting wingers. And even that, missing both our wingers, I thought, you know what? Darby, closeness, Flanagan. I was getting a bit nervous before the game. But after that opening kind of 5 minutes, I was ready to rock. And it's a big win for him. Like, missing all those players.
It was a finals game
squad.
today. Yeah. It was a finals game, essentially. Like, this is what, if we finish 5th, that's what we're coming up against more than likely. And they can't, like, the Dragons can't go with us. I don't think they can go with anyone in the top 8 come finals time. So with our colleague who was mentioning that the finishing 5th and getting a Dragons or a Dolphins, I get it. Like, there are a lot of pros to finishing 5th, getting a finals win, getting momentum. I just think at the end of the day, you want to finish as high as you can. You want to be in the top 4. It's the only way you're going to win a comp. And if we're not here to win comps, what the hell are we doing? You've got to have the confidence in yourself to go to Melbourne or to go to Penrith or to go to Allianz and beat one of these guys, because as we've said, you're going to probably have to beat 2 or 3 of them to win the comp. So why not dust one of them straight away?
Yeah. I mean, Dan, do you have a preference who you want to play?
I want to play the Roosters because I want to come 3rd. Only because you go to Melbourne, and I know we beat them down there, but you play that game 100 times, they beat us 101. Like, it was just such an aberration. Brilliant win, by the way. But yep. I want to finish in the top 4. I said pre-season I just want to win a finals game. Lose to the Roosters, who cares? Go back and belt, I don't know, the Bulldogs or Manly, whoever. But I don't want to avoid, because if we finish 2nd, it'd be great, but I don't want the Shark Park nonsense to go again. So I think that was a distraction last year. If we finish 3rd, we play at Allianz. We go and we play the Roosters. That's perfect for me.
Do you think a distraction to the players or just in general?
Just in general. I don't think the players give two hoots, to be honest.
Yeah.
But in saying that, you just imagine running out into Allianz and there's 30,000 fans, 10,000 Sharks fans. That's got to feel good. And I dare say, going there, you get that little bit of a, yeah, they finished higher than us, but let's go to their ground and beat them. Whereas the Roosters were busted come down here. And if we go left, we beat them by 30 on the night. We just wrist-hold it because they came in with that attitude. I think we need to go in as underdogs. Roosters for me. I mean, if we finish 5th, we finish 5th, whatever. But I think to not finish the top 4 now would be a huge disservice to how hard they've worked.
I think it'd be a massive disservice because I know we had the slump, I'm going to call it mid-season, after round 12 for a while. And it wasn't good. But they bounced out of it really well. And it's been a good year. And to do it over such a long period of various time periods without your best players. Like, I've got Roosters mates who are like, oh, my team hasn't got, all these players missing. It's like, I agree, they don't have all their players. Half the comp doesn't have it. Look at my team. How many games have our starring halves started? Like, you know what I mean? Like 5? I don't know. And it's just so for me, it's been a good year. Like, under a lot of adversity.
Can I say
Josh,
something controversial, mate?
Yeah.
I feel better about this year than when we finished 2nd 2 years ago. I think it's a better team.
I agree.
Wow.
Yeah, loads of fun.
In the first year under Fitz.
Yep. Yeah, I think that was all just Nico Hines running riot.
Yeah.
Yeah, the team is definitely humming more. I agree. And he was Dalian Player of the Year by a long stretch. So that was awesome. But it's a good point. And that's what I meant when I said before, like, none of these guys are playing bad. Like, we're critiquing two tries they let in, one from a missed tackle and one from the fullback missed tackle. So it's like 2 errors in 80 minutes. I mean, they gave away some penalties, some 6 agains. Ball handling was pretty good. They can improve on all that. But I think your point, Dan, equals my point about they're all playing out of their skin.
Agreed.
Well, I think to Dan's point about how it's a better team this year.
No coughing on the show, Dan.
I believe we are 1 win off what we did. And so in 2022, we finished second with 38 points.
Oh.
We are now third with 36 points. So we have a chance to improve on that first year. But I think more so we've improved as a team. I think the Fitz philosophy has started to seep in. Those guys most of this team has been here for that entire duration. They're now 2 years, more experience, another 50 games under their belt, which we said and what Fitz said. And most of those guys were 50 gamers. Now we've got, 700 gamers and they've all been together now. I think we're starting to see the fruits of the labor and the work that they've put in as a coaching staff and as a club and as a team, that the window is open. And I think maybe we definitely overachieved in that year, and we were led by a freak Nico season. But he doesn't need to do that anymore. He doesn't need to be that guy. And I don't think he's played like that because he hasn't needed to. He just needs to fit in and just have the sprinkled touches of magic. And I think the team's good enough to win the comp. I know it's crazy to, go outlandish, but I think the way you play today, when the forwards get going, we hold the ball, we complete high, with the input of a couple of our missing stars. The team's good enough to win the comp. There's no one there that I go, we can't beat them when we play our best. 2 years ago, Penrith, at our best, we can't beat Penrith. We can now.
Yeah, we just need to see it though, right? Like,
yeah, 100%.
Because it's all very well for you to say that, and I agree with you. Like, I think that, like, the way we played against the Titans, for example, which was close to today, but say the Titans game, if you play like that against Penrith, we win. Now, we weren't playing like that 2 years ago, but we need to see it. That's the massive problem, and we didn't see it when they beat us 42-0, and it sucked. So it's up to us to turn that around. Just on Gusley's point there, Tall Tom Hazleton, or as the other podcast calls them, Big Ball Tom. I think that's right. Regaining confidence, coming out of his slump. I think slump's a harsh word, Ghastly, but Dan, you're a big Tom guy. What were your thoughts on him in the last few weeks?
He's been fantastic. He needed a break. The bloke's, he looks like he's 40, but he's only played 20 games coming into this year. He's a relative rookie. So, yeah, he needed a break. And that last game, I know he had that one awful game. He and Toby both had a really, really bad game. Had a break, came back, look $1 million. So I think that's a lesson learned moving forward too. Sometimes you got to rest players.
100%.
Yeah, it's going to be so fascinating with, I guess week 1 of the finals. No, I'm not so much worried about the next 2 weeks, but week 1 of the finals, when we lay it all down, and I'm imagining everyone's fit, hopefully touch wood, it's going to be super fascinating what they come up with, because I think Tom might be kind of on a chopping board just for different reasons. I don't think he should be. I think his body shape and his skill, and I think the fact he's played 20 games now, I think he's perfect to be the rookie in the team in that finals game. But do you leave out Hamlin Welly if he's firing after 2 more games? Do you, there's so many different options. I feel for Big Tuku because I feel like he's sort of behind the 8 ball a little bit. His time will come in years to come. The guy's a freak. The depth is there. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. We have Juz, who said, great game. Our forwards were 2 fit for the Dragons pack. Won the war of attrition. Best bench in the comp. Clear difference between our centres. Absolutely. Standouts from those two that you mentioned. Yes, great win by NRLW. Dan, we're going to throw to you because you're our expert on this field of subject, the NRLW team 5-0. Tell us your thoughts. Josh and I saw the game, but you lead.
Emma Tornagato took tonight personally. She was so good. If she doesn't win player of the round, there needs to be an investigation. Jeff Tuvio, you won for that. That forward pack is just monstrous. We're a little bit light last year. Now that a few players have come in, a few players have got fit, they look a different side. I was a little bit worried about that edge that Tali Holmes, obviously with her horror injury, but Byers came in and was just enormous. That I got to say, Tiana Penatani, I know she won our Player of the Year last year. I thought she was about 5th or 6th. If you were to tell me she's our top player now, I'm not arguing with you for a second. Brooke Anderson is just tackling anything with a heartbeat. She's a freak. Quincy Dodd is the best running hooker in the game, in the women's game. Anyone who argues, I will fight you over that. They just when Jada Highlight went down, I thought that's our spark. She's special. She's the difference. Cassie Staples has just become a different player at fullback. The way she sliced through the Dragons tonight was magnificent. I think Anessa Biddle is just a monster. I said on the show, make sure Outlaws again, blah, blah, blah. Every time she gets the ball, she just runs it. You see centers catch the ball and look for a prop off the kickoff or dropouts. She catches the ball. Tonight she was off balance, had to run 10 meters back, turn around, and still ran and made 15 post-contact meters. She's an absolute weapon. And that Georgia Ravix, I picked her for the top try scorer. She'd only scored 1 try before tonight. But she scored another 2, and she's going to get there. Mark my word, she'll get 10 by the end of the year. She's another athletic freak. Like, they are humming. And that ball playing, Taylor Preston had the ball on a string tonight, which I haven't said very often this year. They're just, honestly, you want to talk about the boys, there's not a bad player. That girls team, there's not a bad player. And we've just had 2 7-stars come in. One looks like she's played 50 games at NRLW, and the other's looking real good in a training photo. So just getting a little bit excited. Temper it because we've got the Titans this week, and that's the big test. Jamie Chapman is like her and Anessa Biddle. Sign me up for that. But you get past them, you can start really looking at something pretty exciting, Josh.
Yeah, we just lost Sam there, so we'll just bear
it's
with
our
us.
show now, mate. You're guilty.
Yeah, we're running the show, so I'll go just a couple of questions. Dan, I'll throw to you. We had the Speedy was asking. I'm starting to believe, guys. Let's hope that Hines just slots back into the system. That is starting to fire. Ben just was putting out a couple of options about his bench options. Atco 14, fit Royce, fit Ueli, Jack Williams, Tall Tom. If Braden Hamlin-Ueli was to hit full fitness at finals time, that's our next gear, our shot in the arm. Go back to the NRLW. I'm loving that we're not relying on Ellie Johnston too much. Obviously an absolute freak, but we probably relied on it too much at times throughout the season. She just was in cruise control, and I thought Biddle 180 meters, Penatani 150 meters. Like the centers that we have in this club for men and women is just on another level.
So Biddle from the Fox Sports Lab crew, who I'm quite personal with, 200 meters on the nose. So
there you go.
She cracked
Take
200.
that. Go with Fox.
Whatever gives you the high stats.
Yeah, spot on.
Great win. Absolutely great win. Are we in the finals now, Dan, in all seriousness, or is it?
Mathematically, no, but I mean, we're 4 points clear at the top. So with 4 games remaining, you would hope we're in the finals, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been such a great month for the Sharks in both competitions. Going back to the NRL, and Ghastly says, thanks for the questions, Ghastly, appreciate you. Why does everyone seem to forget we've been missing so many players week in, week out? With others, that's the club excuse. I think we're just not one of those high-profile clubs in the media where people are frothing over our story. I think they like us being the underdogs. They like us being the quiet achievers. Then they build us up, and then when we fall, they kind of put the boot in kind of thing. I think that's our plight in life until we win another title. But as I said before, there's lots of examples of teams this year who have been missing their star players, but we've got to be near the top for most missing. And I think it's a great thing that the coach has done, coaching staff, even if you want to throw in Moody in recruitment, like they're stacked with decent players. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that a Hiroti or a Billy Burns are in the top 100 players, but they're doing their job when they're asked. Like, I love the fact Hiroti's just waiting in the wings patiently. Gets his chance, does his job.
3 years in a row, one game, right?
Yeah.
Oof.
What a man, though. He gets his contract, he gets his NRL bum. The depth. Terry and I have been talking about the depth in this club for years. And wait till you see some of the freaks we got coming through this Jersey Flag team that have just decided that they're going to kill everyone in front of them the last 5 weeks. 50 points, 5 weeks in a row, 46 weeks in a row. Unheard of. Riley Pollard, get in that. Yeah. Liam Eisen, get on that. And these kids, they're still kids. The depth, like the Stone Streets, the Eros, the next man up. Colquhouns. Oh, so good.
I get super nervous when I think about that stuff, Dan, because I'm like I've watched Pollard and he's incredible, right? And I'm like, well, hang on, how does he fit into the picture? I know he's young, but say he's ready in 2 years. Does that mean we have to get rid of Nico or Trindle or Atkinson? Yeah, I mean, I get very nervous about this stuff, but it's really good. But then I get nervous for the other thing where it's like, I don't want him to go away, but you can't keep him playing for the Jets for 10 years, you know?
Well, it's a good point, but I mean, Pura's off contract and Pollard can play New South Wales Cup next year. I'm not saying that's a coincidence and definitely going to happen, but you know, like Liam Eisen right now could go and play fullback at 2 or 3 clubs. I cannot for the life of me understand why Kale Iro he didn't have 10 offers in front of him. Everyone just seemed to be, yeah, he's okay. And it's like, can you people not watch what this kid's got? Stone Street's another. Like, I wouldn't be. If during the off-season someone comes to Dan Atkinson, says, oh, you want to play number 6, I wouldn't begrudge him moving away. But you've seen this year, you keep getting injured. You need a star third half. And I don't think Atkinson's a star, but you need someone that can play like a star. And we've got it. I mean, you saw it. Penrith have got it. And I go, everyone says, oh, but the injuries. Okay, Melbourne didn't have Ryan Pappenhausen for 12 weeks. Cam Munster's just come back, and they've won the minor premiership with 3 rounds to go.
Yeah.
Because of what? Keith Farlado, who's played 5 games. Wishart, who, are you kidding me? He's not in the top 1,000 players. This year he certainly is. They bought that Grant Anderson, who I couldn't pick out of a lineup. Trent Liero. Alessi Katoa was a we got walked from the Warriors who were hopeless. He's come in, he's a superstar. So the system is built, much like Penrith and Melbourne. Yeah. That is so much more important.
Yeah, it is. That's a great point. And they've been working hard to get that system right. And the fact that, for example, some of the Penrith guys have chosen to come here as the next port of call, to me, that says their managers think, well, we're better than the Bulldogs. We're better than, as far as the systems go. And I think that's huge. And for our little club, with the little training facility and all that stuff, and that club as well, of course, that's why I get really kind of surprised when everyone gets so annoyed by losing a game or 2 here or there. I want to win every game. I'm very competitive when it comes to football, but I think the club is in such a good way right now, and it's not me sucking up the club. It's just my own opinion that, like, with this coach, we got a good coach. I think he's a long-term coach. I think it's almost like a John Lang thing, 10-year kind of stint. Hopefully one better than Johnny did, but we're in good hands. Sean says the pass from Trindle put Iro over first class. I think we need 2 playmakers and Atkins off the bench. Just logged in. Surely you've covered it. Fitz has a nice challenge. We have, Sean, but thank you so much for mentioning it. That is my point of view. The boys have different points of view, but that pass from Trindle, Iro was immaculate, and Iro did great the in and away as well. So, do you want to talk about that all night, Dan? Because you have the microphone.
The line was filth. Like, the way he caught it and stepped in one, Trindle just gave him the look. He's like, Iro knew the ball. And look, I don't want to talk about the Fee guys like they're first-grade footballers, because they're not. But we made them look like they're not. Maybe that's a little bit less scandalous. But
we've gone pretty easy on the Dargons. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, but Iro ran the filthiest, most cleanest, perfect line. Trindle through the line, which is good, but it was just, what a ball, what a run, perfect.
The pass made me think, I need Trindle in my team. Like it really did,
Yeah.
because I don't know. I mean, Nico does it. So to be fair, Nico does it. Atkinson does it less, but he has played less games in that position at that level. He's getting better every week. That's a great problem to have. Hopefully, I have confidence that Fitz will know what to do when the time comes, whether it's next week, whether it's in 2 weeks. I feel like he'll make the right call for the 17 guys that are going to win that game. But I don't think he's going to be ruining careers at all either. I think he's got a plan. He's a real deep thinker. And let's see what he comes up with, because every week someone's going to come back. How do you think we went without Talakai? I was super worried about that. And I'm rushing him back in, but that was a problem, I thought, pre-game. No Talakai, but I can't wait for him to come back.
I mean, respectfully, didn't notice he wasn't there today. And I say that as a guy, as a massive Talakai lover.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, didn't even until they put the camera on him at the 70th minute, I was like, oh yeah, we didn't have Talakai today, or Ronaldo or Sione. It's a testament to the guys who filled in or took their spots back. But he comes back in 100%. He's back on that bench, because could you imagine him coming on after 30 minutes and just ripping through the middle of that Dragons? He would have killed someone. And he's a weapon that not many teams have. I think that's the best thing about our depth in our club, is not many teams have guys like we've got. Not many people have a Jack Williams, who should probably be starting at an NRL Cup and playing 60, 80 minutes. Talakai's.
So on that point, Josh, it was only 2 or 3 months ago we were all sort of thinking, our pack all kind of looks the same, our bench all looks the same. But now there's a tall, bald guy. There's a angry guy who's off contract who wants the big dollars called Royce Hunt. There's Jack Williams who just wants a damn contract, and he's like Brock Lesnar or something. Then you got Talakai. Then you've got Toby starting, who's just found a new lease of life. You've got Tuku waiting in the wings. So that pack that was all like this is like this. And I think, as you're saying, Josh, it's been a real key to our success. Yeah,
I mean, it's funny when we're down and when we're struggling, it's easy to get on top of the boys, and it's a bit samey, which I still think it is. But when they play to their potential, it's sort of irrelevant. When Toby plays to what he can, he's a 150-meter gamer a week. And Oregon Kafusi, what is the deal with this guy? Where has this guy been? The last 6 weeks, he's been an animal. Over 100 meters every game, offloading at will. I didn't know this guy had this in him. He's been amazing. And when these guys play that,
Kafusi looks like a 35-year-old, right? And he plays like that. And then, I had the privilege, and I say that honestly, the privilege to have 10, 15 minutes with the guy the other week. He's so passionate about what he's doing. He's one of the quietest guys I've ever spoken to. But his knowledge of the game, his willingness to learn from the game, I get the feeling he's going home. He's probably at home right now watching the game and seeing how he could get even better. I think the upside of Kafusi, who we all sort of thought, he'll be out the door pretty soon. He's 23 or something. The world is his to take. Now, he's got to keep doing it. But that's just one example of these guys. Toby gets the boot to Newtown. Not happy with that. Comes back, having the games of his life. Royce Hunt wants a new deal. Playing out of his skin. Talakai's just playing like he does. It's all good news. Even Big Tuku is looking good every week he gets the chance to do it. So, yeah, it only dawned on me tonight, that's why I'm repeating myself, that we had this very samey bench, and now it's just a bunch of freaks that are awesome.
You're exactly right about that. We said earlier in the year, Hamlin Ueli, Royce Hunt, Tom Hazelton, they're all big bodies, but they're all small minute players. Okay, you bring Adam Fanua-Blake in and obviously changes that, but you got to get through this year first. It's not about next year yet. We're in a shot where we can. That's why I wanted Jesse Colquhoun to start the season. Looked like he was. The way his trial game was electric. Yeah. Obviously, he got injured and stuff. When he came in, he looked fantastic, and then died right in front of me. Still the worst moment of my life, just quietly. But we're seeing what Josh said before. Talakai offers something different because if someone does go down, you can't put Jack Williams in the back row. Look, with the greatest respect to Billy Burns, he's not what Talakai is. You can put Talakai there and say, okay, if you need to cover that 60 minutes, that's fine. If you go down a prop, Talakai can play there. If you absolutely need a center, okay, he can go there. Look, if you need a running 5'8", I bet you'd put your hand up for that too. If you said Talakai play fullback, he'd be like, yeah, what the hell? So, yeah, 100% agree. He has to be there somewhere.
And just on that point, Jake's also giving further accolades to Iro, and that's why he's our centre. And it's a great point. Thanks, Jake. Now, Lunchy's hitting the big subjects. We see this one a lot in all the things we follow, the black jerseys. But then he's going old school. Well, a little bit old school. Would you rather Phil Bailey or Talakai for centre second row? Oh, man. This is a great question. Because, Dan, I had special feelings for Phil Bailey. But now I have special feelings for Sif Talakai. I think Talakai is who I would go with. But maybe that's recent biasy. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm gonna lock in Talakai, please. I think Phil Bailey had a longer shelf life at centre than Talakai. And I coined the touch Talakai, soft hand Sif. I thought he and Ronaldo had something special. But it was always just wait till Euro gets big and strong enough to come in. I never felt that about Phil Bailey, but Talakai off the bench is just, like Josh said, there's no one else like him in the competition. Sifa, just.
Josh, any thoughts on this?
Look, Phil Bailey was one of my first guys that I fell in love with as a Sharks fan. He was in that era of when I was, a kid coming through. So I have a lot of special feelings for Blake. I remember him taking on SBW and getting, absolute crap beaten out of him at a game at ANZ of 20 years ago. He ate about 5 SBW punches. I've always loved Phil, a New South Wales representative. So I'm going to be different. I'm going to say Phil Bailey just for my youth and my love of, becoming a Sharks fan.
I mean, I love them in both in the same team. Now, let's all read Scott's question. I know what it means, but can you guys answer it? Because I don't have an answer for it. And thank you for writing, Scott.
I mean, Ramin had to be sin bin. If that's what you're asking, it was 100% a sin bin. Although on Thursday, whatever it was, Thursday night, we didn't think that. I don't remember another tackle real bad later. I know there was one. I was like, oh God, are we going to get another sin
Royce
bin?
Hunt.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And then they didn't call it. I was like, I'm okay with that. But Ramin's was forceful.
Was there a lot of force in it, Dan?
With Ramin? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. God, yeah. As soon as he did it, I'm like, uh-oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for that, Scott. Gus has got another question saying, what's going on with Tuku? He's been in and out of cup and been barely in first grade. Well, we've been talking about all that. It's hard to fit them all in. I think that he gets his time every now and then for experience more than anything. I mean, he brings a lot to the game, but he's just probably a year or so away from being a regular. We may see some guys being turned over in the new year, whether it's Williams or it's Hunt, whether it's whoever, I don't know. But Tuku's sticking around, which is the good news. And I think that they're playing the long game with him. What are your thoughts on that, Dan?
Well, in New South Wales Cup, he's a big minute, high impact. There's a couple of weeks ago, I took some very legal screen caps and put them up. In his first stint, he had a try, 2 try assists and about 4 line breaks. So the guy's too good for New South Wales Cup, which is just fantastic. It's the same when he and Colhoun were our starting props, we were untouchable. Come back a little bit since the boys have had to go around a bit. But, I was a little bit disappointed with his minutes in first grade because he does play big minutes for the Jets. I know it is a different level, etc. But he seems to have come up in that 4th bench spot because I'm still convinced Craig Fitzgibbon thinks it's a 3-man bench and you get 10 minutes as a 4th. That seems to be his role. But I'm confident that if someone went down and he had to play 35, 40 minutes, he could handle it well. But you're right. He's just that little bit below everyone else. Although his potential, and I'm big on potential, he's a lot bigger than everyone. He's a lot younger. He's raw, but he's certainly someone I'd be putting there for a lot of years to come.
Yeah, you'll be seeing him, I reckon. I really believe that. The first time I saw him in the flesh, I couldn't get over. I still can't actually now. The size of this guy, it's scary. And again, that's part of what we're saying. This guy fits into this sort of freaks and ghouls, maybe not so much ghouls, of our bench and our forward pack. I don't know what fits he's done, but he's he's literally huge.
Ben in the Instagram comments is giving us a lot of good feedback. He just
Oh, great.
mentioned that he said, look at Tuku like Iro, there may be a plan. So I think Ben's thinking the same as us, is like, just give him time. He's only 22, I believe. Iro didn't come in until 24, which I think in the end has actually helped his career. I think coming in a little bit later and I'm matured, the body's ready. He's played against men for a few years. You know, that short-term pain of holding them back, I think for that long-term gain of now Iro's going to play, 6, 7, 8 years. I think it's the same for Big Tukes. So
Where do you boys, thank you, Ben. Where do you boys see the next 2 weeks going? I mean, I think the Warriors is a win. No, that's not a grand statement. I think it's a win. I know people are going to say it's Sean's last ever game. I don't really care, because if they were going to play well, they would have played last week at home. I know now they have the chance to go, well, sorry about that. We'll fire up now for you. But that doesn't really factor into how I'm seeing this game. I just think that you would have done it last week if you really wanted to have that motivation. I think Sean will have a big game. I thought he was decent in the game, in the parts that I saw of that game. But I think that's a win. And do you think we beat Manly in Brookie, say that we play full strength? I'm not suggesting we wouldn't, but say it's a fair income game. Do you think we win in Brookie?
Dan, I'll let you go first because I'm not sure.
No, I think we do the Warriors and do them easy. Mm-hmm. I think Manly beat the Bulldogs this weekend. Although maybe that'll be
really.
Yeah, Manly. They're freak. I hate them. I hate Manly so much. They just got that touch about them. I think the Dogs are due a loss, and they got a lot of luck the last 4 weeks. So it's got to run out. But I mean, no hate. But we're a game ahead. So if we lose by 4 points to Manly in the last round, it's not gonna hurt. It's not going to affect our top four. I would want to go in beating them both, because their teams we're going to have to play in round 2 if we can't beat the big boys. So you need those wins. But if you said to me, Nico gets 160 minutes, we lose against Manly, but we finish 4th, I'm taking that all day, every day. Please and thank you. Josh?
Yeah, I think we'll definitely beat the Warriors. I think they've checked out. I think that they put a lot of emotion and a lot of stake in that game on the weekend against the Dogs. I think that's them done. I think obviously they're professionals and they have a respect for the club and to the game to play well. But I think mentally they're not going to be there. We're firing it on all cylinders now. We're going for a top 4 spot, top 2 spot potentially. Like, we're going to be hopefully at our best. I think we'll romp them. Manly at full strength, if Nico plays, let's go and beat him. I reckon we can do it. I think it's going to be tough. Turbo scares me through the middle of our ruck at our edges too. They're a lot quicker of a side than us, but they're defensively very frail. So they don't scare me. I think if we can get consistent goes at their line, I think we'll score plenty of points. I think we can win both games. Ideally, and I say this is it's a bit of a la-di-da, but if we win against the Warriors and Manly beat the Dogs, I don't think it really matters. I'd probably rest everyone except maybe give Nico a run with some reserve graders.
It's
tricky though.
It's a tough one. I definitely lean towards that, Josh. You know that, but there are so many pros and cons about doing that kind of stuff. Jake says when teams doing video on Brit, how much of a threat he is, ball playing like a half. Well, yeah, I think he's just hard to stop, Jake. I mean, that inside run is easy enough to stop, but he's not getting the ball every time, especially when Nico's out there. There's a lot of decoy stuff going on with Britt. He's a great decoy runner, but then when he does get the ball, like we saw today, he's lethal as well. So I think for us to go a long way in this comp, we need guys like that to really help out our halves and just be dominant. I thought Teague Wilton today, we haven't mentioned him much, but he was great. Very physical presence out there. And like I've said throughout the show, like all 17 guys need to play out of their skin. And at the moment they are. Now, Ghastly says, do we see Tuku as an eventual predecessor to AFB at the end of his 4-year deal? Well, I mean, ideally you would, but Dan's saying no. Why are you saying no?
There's some giants coming through flag. Atata. There's another guy. Yeah, these guys in 4 years' time are going to be the predecessors. Look, maybe huge as well. Like put them all. Let's have 10 of them. Never a
Yeah.
bad thing. But these kids coming through flag, they played New South Wales Cup a couple of weeks ago and just bossed everyone. And the way they took that poor Silvertails team apart last week was it was literally men versus boys, and I felt a bit bad for him. And you know things are going bad when you're feeling bad for your opposition. So yes, but wait till you see what we got coming through. Woo.
Okay, so Lunchy's got the comment of the night. He wins the award. We're not sure what the award is. It's probably a coffee with Dan, and he can tee that up with you. But here we go. You ready? Isn't this just beautiful? Sincerely, thank you so much for what you have written. I don't need to repeat it because you can all see it.
Hold on, I just got to screen cap that for a certain podcast host.
I'm sure he was just on the edge, but they couldn't fit all the words in. So I wouldn't worry about that.
No, thank you, mate.
But no, we really appreciate that, and thank you so much. And yes, if you don't know who the gentleman at the bottom is, you must be living in another world. But it is Dan Nichols from Fins Up, and what else are you from? Rugby League Outlaws and
Rugby League Outlaws, the Knock On podcast, mate. I am
Where do you write? You write at Zero Tackle. Yep.
You can't avoid me. I apologize. There are, believe it or not, there are people out there that do not like me, Shanaz. There was, in fact, when I was meeting the girls, getting my stuff signed, I had a gentleman come up, say that he was a big fan, and I was like, thank you. And then he said, but my brother hates me. And I said, yeah, that's about how it goes. So 50%, I'll take those odds every time.
Can't win them all, Dan. Okay, so this is from Sean. Sean says, I could have read this wrong, but I got the impression Tukes is being conditioned. I got in trouble for saying that wrong. Tukes. Am I saying it right now? Tukes.
Tukes, yeah.
Tukes.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I can't remember.
I call him Tuku. He's been conditioned to first grade. Great stints. Yeah, I think that's right, Sean. I think they are just buying their time with him. I think there was a couple of games where they needed him, but at the moment they kind of don't, with all respect to everyone involved in that conversation. So they're going to blood him slowly, and I think it's the right move. And he has all the potential to be a superstar. Whether he gets there or not, we're not sure. I kind of liken it at the moment only to a Franklin Pele, but this guy's got better rugby league body and a better attitude about on-field stuff. I'm not knocking Franklin, love Franklin, but he's obviously got some discipline issues on the field, whereas Big Tuku is just a very polite, well-mannered beast. So that's the difference between those two guys. But thanks for that, Sean. Ian said, sorry if I've already missed this. What are your thoughts on the future of Will Kennedy at fullback? We did cover it, Ian, so go back and listen to the podcast or the video. But to be brief on that subject, I'm all in. Josh is kind of all in. Dan is a big fan, but sees other people pushing towards that. So that's a very quick catch up on that. Garsley says going to leave to watch the Formula One. Oh, okay, man. Thanks for that. Nah, just kidding. Thanks for all the questions, Garsley. Really appreciate it. Good luck with the Formula One. Lads, we've been on here for a while. It's been a lot of fun. I don't really have anything to do in my life. Nah, I shouldn't say that.
I'm the same.
This is kind of my life. What impressed you most, each of you today, about the win? Like, what was your lasting impression of this game?
I'll go with the ruthlessness. I thought that once they got the foot on the throat, they didn't stop. They pushed them 6 feet under. I thought after that a little initial burst of the Dragons got coming back into the game, I thought we were perfect. And that's our potential with more to come. I think that's what I was most impressed with today.
I'll go the centres. Going in, the golf in the quality of the centres was just ginormous. Early in the year, we were using them as battering rams. It was fun for me because the stats hero was making the most meters, blah, blah, blah. But as soon as we got in the 20, it was like, okay, cool. Ram in and hero are not allowed to touch the ball. That's completely changed now, and we're a different team. Yeah. You put them up against any centre pairing in the competition, I'm taking our boys. And I think today the game plan was perfect. They just smashed them out wide. And they did the rest.
Excellent. Just getting mail from all sorts of places here while I ad-lib. Warriors next week. Manly.
Well, what was yours, Sam? What were you most impressed with today?
I like the fact, and the same with the Knights game, that we just got on and did it. Like two extreme different circumstances, but both must-win games. And there's a tiny bit of breathing room now. I'm not saying they take their foot off the gas, but I just think that 2 weeks in a row, last week we could have gone the other way, especially in the game, and it went the right way. Golden Point was awesome. And today, just with all the hype about the Dragons, even though look, they're a lot better than what they were last year. There's no doubt in my mind about that. And I think they're on the rise. I think Flano will get them going really good as well. But like for the next few years, I think they'll be in the finals maybe as soon as next year if they keep improving. But the Sharks didn't fall for any of that stuff. They just rocked up. I mean, without getting too heavy, there was a lot of stuff going on in the Shire today that wasn't pleasant. And they were involved in all sorts of ways, not to least mention the fact that the disruption to getting to the ground. They rose above everything. And that's what I really like about it. They had the game faces on. You could tell in the first few sets they were going for it. And it was everything I would have hoped and more. I do get nervous about the derby games because I hate losing them. But, yeah. Josh, I'm just going to send you a text while Dan's going to talk more about the Cronulla Sharks. Dan, talk about the Sharks.
Can I ask you boys a question?
Yes.
When you saw Zach Lomax was marking Sam Stone Street, I want complete honesty here. Were you guys worried?
No.
I'm
because of the height. No.
I was worried because I thought for some reason in my head I had it all week that Hiroti was going to be there. And then I was like, no, of course they're going to switch Sam. So when Sam went there, I was actually a lot more comfortable and he shut it down.
Glad to hear that because I got it a lot during the week. Your boy's going to get found out. Stone Street's going to play and do not get me wrong, Zach Lomax, I think on his day when he's involved is arguably top 3 winger because Toto is number 1. If you want to make an argument for number 2, I'm not going to argue with him. He has these shocking games because his head's not there. He's going to Parramatta, etc. But everyone in my comments all week was, your boy's going to get found out this week. And I don't even need to say anything because Sam Stone Street 10-8'd him easily. And I can't remember anything Lomax did during that game. And I honestly say I'm not surprised. And I've made some ridiculous comments and I made some really good ones. But the Eero Stone Street agenda, I was 110% in because just look at him. And Stone Street's probably, don't get me wrong, he's further along now than I thought he would be. I thought he might have played that one game and then they would have gone back to Hiroti. But I wasn't worried at all. I wasn't even worried about Hiroti on the other side because if he comes in for a game or two, he's untouchable. It's when he's playing 6 or 7. It's the Connor Tracy thing without getting to a rant. If he's your next man up, you're all sweet. If you're relying on him, you're in trouble. And that's what got us in the finals a couple of years ago. I reckon if we had a genuine right winger, they score in halftime, we blow the Cowboys out in that second half. That next man up this year is just so much better than we've had in years gone by.
Yeah, it is. And I know I get in trouble saying this, but it's 2016 next man up. That's what they did in 2016 and it worked. So hopefully it leads to something good.
I think as well.
Center's better now too.
Yeah, I agree. I think also on the Lomax thing, he's been getting away with all year, getting through one-on-one with the winger. He's going to outjump anyone. Every time he came through, we had guys in the way, not illegally, but we had guys just enough in the way to make him veer around. When he got that catch in the second half, we had about 6 blokes just descend upon him the second he caught it. So he actually got the ball, and then 6 blokes were just there ready to cover it, shut it down, and it was a handover. And I think that's really smart coaching, and it's well executed by the team, I thought.
Oh, they would have trained for that. And
yeah.
and I saw a couple of sessions this week, and they were definitely doing kick defense, and Stone Street in particular. We've got a question from Wally. He said, "See you at Allianz week 1, boys." Wally's the head rooster out there. He said it'll be sad to see the Panthers and Storm bash each other. Well, on that we can agree. Allianz week 1. I don't know, Wally, if we're going to take our home game to Allianz in week 1, but we might. You never know. We could play at Shark Park, the greatest park in the world. Wally's all right. He's a good fella. He's a Shark sympathizer. His dad goes for the Sharks, but he doesn't for some reason. But
unlucky.
Yeah, I mean, Roosters, boy, they can attack, boys.
They're
they can
good
attack.
today.
I know their D's a little bit, not as good, but I get the feeling they're they're going to get better each week leading to the finals with their D, but their attack is even today, like it didn't look like they were in a proper gear, and they still 48 points or something.
Yeah. We had a couple of last minute questions come through, or statements. There's a bit from Matt. I'm not going to try and say the whole name because that's a mouthful, but there's a bit of difference between
respectfully.
Yes.
Love you, man.
There's a bit of a difference between this year's team and the last 2 years, as there is no Moylan missing tackles and no old boys in the middle.
Oh boy.
I
mean, it's right.
It's true. Yeah.
Trindle, a much better defender.
Yep.
And a youthful forward pack. Dallas, great listen, gents. What an awesome result for our club today. Time to get excited. And Ben, who's been unreal all night, has been commenting and sending questions in. Question: Bees at Boyle's prelim weekend? ? I'll be down from PNG.
What?
But you are all.
What does that mean?
I think it's a place. Bees at Boyle's, or beers. I think you meant beers. Sorry, beers at Boyle's. Prelim weekend.
Do you not know where Boyle's is, Josh?
No, I know now. Now I know what the sentence means. We're not going to Boyle's, dude. We can find lots of places to go. We might end up there, but
Ben will be down from PNG.
Yeah, we'll meet up with you, Ben. Count it in, man. Beers are on Josh. We'll do it.
Yeah.
If we're at a prelim,
that'll be the day. That'll be the day.
Prelim. It's prelim only.
That's what he's saying. Prelim weekend.
Okay.
And he's confirmed. Yes, Boyles.
No one gets more nervous than me of a prelim, I can tell you. I might need a couple there to strengthen me up. Boyles, we can end up at Boyles. I don't know if we're going to start there, though. That might be
after we win and we're going to a grand final, we can go back there.
This has been fun, lads, and appreciate everyone who's been on. We're just having a bit of fun. I finished work. As a spoiler, I finished work late on a Sunday, and I wanted to talk about the Sharks. And right when I was thinking it, Dan Nichols sent me a text and went, "Today was fun." And I went, "You know what'd be more fun? This kind of shenanigans." And it has been. Not as fun as the game, but I'm so stoked, boys. 2 derby wins. 3 if you count. 9 in a row, yeah. And 3 if you count the one earlier this year, which is fantastic. And it's, I was nervous about our ladder position, nervous about beating the Dragons. You know, my mate Brooksy, who was on the podcast, he'd just be giving me hell right now. He'd be texting me every 3 minutes if they'd won. Haven't had a peep out of him.
Has he reached out? No, I was going to say.
Hasn't. He's probably watching now under some other name, you know. Jake's, yes.
We are one jersey flag win away from winning the, whatever it is, the club championship.
Right. So we were talking about club championship during the week, and we were all a bit confused about what it still means. Can you, what is the club championship these days?
In terms of what it means, absolutely nothing, but it's going to be hilarious on Twitter.
No, like when I say what it means is like,
no.
Like what does it count?
It's a first grade New South Wales Cup jersey flag thing. The only problem is that Melbourne don't have a New South Wales Cup team, so it's not. Look, nobody cares outside of Penrith because they win it every year, but to get it over Penrith is the only reason I want it.
Is it actually a ladder? It's a thing still?
Yeah, it's something like that, and there's all sorts of.
As in, like, is it documented somewhere?
I don't know. I just know that if we finish in finals in all 3, we'll finish higher than Penrith in at least 2. So hopefully all 3 if everything goes our way. That's all I want. I don't care what it means. I don't care how they work it out. I just want to lord it over Penrith fans just this once.
Yeah. I mean, they've had a pretty good run. Jake says, who's bringing the welcome home AFB sign? Well, I mean, one of the 3 of us could probably do it, but
I hope he's not there.
Yeah, I don't really want to play him.
Yeah, rest him.
Take the plea.
Maybe Fitzy can make the call now. Hey, could you rest him for next year, please? Respectfully.
Just walk out of the team song again.
I forgot he was coming, actually. Yeah, let's drag him across to we'll get Gary to drag him across to the winning sheds next week so he can sing the song. Here's a song you might like. I'm so scared about meeting him for the first time, hey?
You're big dude.
He's big. He's scary. He's
huge dude, yeah.
It's the leg tats.
It's the everything.
Tree trunk legs, yeah.
Oh, my God. I'm so glad he's coming, though. It's going to be real exciting.
I can't wait.
Isn't it funny that in men's and women's, we're probably 1 prop short, so we just sign the top 2 prop in each of them?
Amazing. Amazing.
So good.
I mean,
Hey, Sam, earlier in the year, you and I were on a show with Terry, Fins Up podcast, for anyone that's listening.
yeah.
And you asked, like, you said that we're going to sign one big signing. That was your prediction. And I said, well, if it's not Fanua Blake or James Fisher-Harris, I don't care. It's Adam Fanua Blake. So you got it spot on, mate.
Yeah, pretty happy with that. I mean, either of those guys would be great. But I feel like this guy has that kind of 1% more street badassery about him that is really going to... I don't think we need to kick up the bum at the moment. I think we're going great. I think the forwards are going great, but it's different. Like, he's going to bring a little bit of more, feeder edge to him where it's like, I don't think they're going to be pulling pranks on this bloke. You know what I mean? Like, everyone gets pranked when they're at the Sharks, Yeah. I had a bucket of water poured on my head last week. You know what I mean? But they're not going to be doing this to Fanua Blake.
No, they're not. They get a guy to sing a song to introduce. Fanua Blake will just say no, and they'll say fair enough.
Yes,
he's a perfect signing. He's special. When we were told, oh, it's close, we were like, no, it's not. We never get these signings. And when it was named, I cried. I'm a full-grown man, not mentally, physically. I cried. Not really, but it's good for this story. God, what a story. And then Caitlin Johnson-Green.
Yeah, NRLW flying. Who do we play next week, Dan?
Titans.
NRLW.
Titans, yeah.
Okay. That'll be a challenge.
Yeah.
They beat us last year on the bell in Cronulla. Horrible day.
Absolute love how they're playing. I thought today was probably the most flash they've been. Like, it's usually a bit more gritty. I felt probably the Dragons are the weakest team they played, and they threw the ball around a little bit, looked really great. And again, missing a fullback, players coming in and out. So full credit to NRLW team. And the NRL boys, they're up there now in headlines with the ladies. They're doing their job, thank goodness. And big game against the Warriors. It's all big from here, right? Like, no matter what the circumstances, no matter what you need to do, don't need to do. Nico's back, he's not back. Where's Atkinson going to play? Who's going to be the forwards missing out? Do you play with 3 forwards and 1 bench, 1 utility, or do you go with the 4 big boppers? It's fascinating. There are a plethora of places you can listen and watch about these subjects. You know where to find them. We will give a shout out, Dan, to our friends on the ET Stand podcast, who went live before us gracefully. And you have the Fins Up, you have the Sharks Upcast, or whatever we're called now. What are we called? We're called Sharkcast. We'll keep it at that. Josh, thanks for your time, brother. You're always there when I need you, unlike the rest of those bums on the Sharkcast list.
I was watching the game again when you text me. Dan,
you're always there when that other bum's not around for me on Fins Up.
Call me anytime, mate. It's always a pleasure.
Just dragging the podcast out now is what I'm doing.
We need the time, but mate, the Fins are up. So up. Both Fins are up.
They are, man. They are. I think we've turned a corner with NRL. I've got a lot of faith in what they're doing, and it's up to them to keep doing it, because if they play like that against most teams, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Just quickly, Sam, do you know why the Jets rested so many players over the weekend? Do you have that, maybe?
No, I can only think that the only thing I would say is they had a guaranteed top 4 spot, right, already?
Yeah, they do. Right? I also I have nothing to back this up. My thinking was that the 2 teams in front of us that can win the minor premiership had very winnable games, and we rested players thinking whatever. They both lost. We could be sitting top of the comp right now. Okay. Plus, I know a lot of the boys did go play for flag, but look, we beat the Warriors this weekend at Henson Park. It's going to be hard to get to all 3 games. I don't know. I might just do the 2 at Shark Park just quietly. But look, they could still potentially win the minor premiership.
I mean, so much history in that club, and now history with us, with our club as a pairing. I love the fact that they're our feeder club. Like, I really do. Like, I'm not as invested as someone like you is, but I genuinely love the club. I love watching them. I love that we have that extension to them. We've had partnerships with other clubs throughout the last 20 years. It's been nothing to me. Whereas this is Really cool. The Newtown Shark Jets. I love it. I don't know why that happened, Dan. I don't know why. We can fish around this week and try and get some questions answered. But yeah, I mean, all four. Is it 4 grades we've got? We've got 4 grades, and they're all flying high.
They are, and we don't speak of the ones that aren't. So no,
there is another. There isn't. Yeah, there's. Yeah.
All 4 are playing above expectation. Let's be honest. Except maybe the Jets. They're right where I had them in the preseason.
All right. Well, this episode will be a podcast for us. I might send it to my old mate Dan. If he wants it, he can chuck it up on his feed. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Know it's getting late, but this is what we do on Sharkcast. We guzzle coffee and talk about the Sharks all night. Appreciate you sticking around. Appreciate you watching. Sorry about the little internet thing before. Not sure how that's going to work out, but it'll be fine. We all came back. It's an ongoing problem we're working on, but we got there. Whole bunch of time talking about the Sharkies. Josh Bowling, thank you for your time. Dan Nichols, thank you for your time. Everyone else watching, thanks for your time. Aaron Wallace, we're going to beat you in week 1 at the SFS, and we will have drinks to celebrate it and commiserate your loss. All right, up Cronulla. I'm going to play the song on the podcast, but now I can't, so we'll just go do 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 up the Sharks. Hey. Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you probably in the morning with coffee time with, what's his name? Who's my coffee friend? Kieran. He's going to hate me for saying that. Up, everyone. Good night.